Let's go ahead and just jump right into this week's Real Estate Real Talk. After 2 long years of home sellers calling all the shots, home buyers, they are eager for the market to tilt in their favor. So let's get to Los Angeles real estate agent Carrie White right now and get some answers on the questions that we have with today's market. Hey, Carrie.
Morning.
So one of the biggest things we all talk about, people talk about, is the prices of everything going up, houses included. So should the idea that affordability is at an all-time low discourage new buyers out there?
Well, it's really about how we look at things in all reality. There's a lot that can be discouraging, and there's also a lot that can be encouraging, right? There is a bright spot in the market now, and buyers have more options. Affordability is dipping for some reasons outside of the housing market, like you discussed, inflation, the cost of goods, life post-COVID, but wages are not keeping up with the demands of the economy. So it feels harder than ever, right, to make ends meet for some young Americans. And the reality is we just have to start making some changes right now to how we are living so that the next decade is better. We have to start really looking at how we spend our money monthly. What's important to us? What do we want our lives to look like? And really, for some, how to weather this unaffordability storm right now. This will all change. It won't be like this forever. It's a cycle, and it's compounded like everything by everything we've had going on nationally, locally, globally. So it can feel a little overwhelming for buyers, but you've got to look at the bright side.
And one of the things that experts are saying when we talk about the economy and inflation, they say the first thing you should be doing, paying down those debts. Can you talk about how the debt to income ratios when you're thinking about buying a home?
Right. Well, they often give advice kind of like ring shopping. The ring should be 3 times the income. You should be looking at houses that are 3 times your income as well. But the reality is buyers are spending a lot more than 3 times their income on their home purchases. So looking at what your monthly is again overall, if you're looking at your debts, that's really the most important place to start. Your lender is also going to look at your debt to income ratio, which is the number one factor in getting approved for a loan and the number one factor in keeping your monthly payments down. If you have a ton of debt, but you have a good income, it's going to offset each other where you're just digging a hole further and further. So look at paying down your debts, have a good down payment. There's a lot of great down payment options, and you'll be in a much better place than just looking at what your monthly income is.
All right, let's get to some advice for some first-time buyers out there, maybe. We've talked about this so many times, Carrie, and you stress the importance. Let's talk about location. Where should these buyers be looking?
Location is everything. And the reason this is, it's not just cliche, location, location, location. You can't move the house. You can change the house, but you can't move it. So if you're buying somewhere where you're not loving the location, or maybe it's maxed out on value, you're not going to get the add value that I talk about. So it's important to look at what's happening locally in certain communities. Are there new restaurants going in, new markets? Whole Foods can really be a good indicator. Like look at where the growth is and look where there's some opportunity as a home buyer. If you're just sticking to one particular area, you really could be missing out on great opportunities that are more affordable in this changing market.
And experts, they suggest using a mortgage calculator because these rates are changing. How is that going to help you kind of look at your long term?
Yes, it is all about the monthly, right? People look at home prices and they look at just a price tag, but they don't understand necessarily what it breaks down to every month. And just with rates going up 0.5%, if you look at a price of a house, if it's 10,000 off, even 50,000 off, that is very different than 0.5 point. The percentage is so much bigger. So if you're looking at a house that's $1 million, it would have to go down 100,000 to even equate to 0.5 point. So having a mortgage calculator and using that often, what you should do is you put the price that you're looking to spend and then break down the difference in monthly mortgage payments based on, 5%, 5.5%, 6%, and look at really what the dramatic differences are there, and then look at where pricing is going. So you may want to lock into something now before rates continue to rise because your monthly will dramatically outpace the price of the home.
And the last thing we're going to talk about here is obviously, Carrie, we're in the age of the internet. You see a house on Zillow, you see it on these websites, right? You're searching all the time. You see a price, you think, okay, you know what? That might be doable. I can make that work. But you're kind of saying, hold up, that don't take the bait there. Prices and inventory, that's one thing, but they aren't actually the only concerns that you need to have.
Exactly. It's like these headlines are so misleading, and the headlines are supposed to be so you pick up the newspaper in the old days, but now it's so you click on it and you see the advertising and maybe you subscribe. So, these headlines, these prices decreasing, inventory coming on. I mean, isn't that what we were looking for all year? It's like we finally get what we want and everybody's complaining. But really what's important is looking again at your financial structure. What are you paying monthly? What is your debt? What are some costs in your life that maybe you can cut back on? Take a look at all the scenarios from a mortgage calculator. Look at other options like 5, 7, 10-year ARMs, because everything right now is increasing in price. They're saying 8.5% overall in our monthly lifestyle versus wages that are actually going down. So account for what you want your life to look like and stop looking at the headlines. Stay informed, work with an expert, and really look at what the monthly is going to be and what you can afford and what your goals are.
All right, Carrie, you're one of the things that does keep us informed, and we're working with an expert. So I got 2 out of 3, at least, on that. Thanks, Carrie.
Perfect. Let's go for 3. All right, thanks.
All right, you guys can follow Carrie in the meantime between seeing her here on Current on Instagram at Carrie Ann, and then subscribe to her YouTube channel at Carrie White Real Estate.